At this point, if you would care to take your seats. Thank you. And the way we do this is, I've already announced that you can submit written questions if you wish on these cards. And in that case, Jackie Castile will collect the cards from you. As long as they're not a duplicate of something we already have scheduled in the predetermined 10 questions, we will, if time allows, take those additional questions. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening speech, and then we will immediately go to the questions. We will alternate. For instance, Tina will have the introductory speech first, then Chris, and then Tina will get the first question. We'll just keep alternating like that. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer each question. So we won't be here until midnight. And of course,
We will not.
well, you never know. Depends. Okay, so on my right, well, your right too. Incumbent Supervisor Tina Scott, and on our left is candidate Chris Almind. So, oh, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. That's why I need so much help. All right. The way we time this is Joe Castile has the stopwatch at 30 seconds. When there's 30 seconds left, Lisa will hold up the yellow card. When the time is up, Lisa will hold up the red card. So everybody's on the same page and everybody has the same amount of time. Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much for being here, and we will begin. Tina, time to start.
Okay. I'm Tina Scott, Supervisor Tina Scott, and first I'd like to thank Lake County for allowing me to be their supervisor for the past 3 years. It has been a pleasure to serve you. I've had the opportunity to meet many of you who live and work in our community by attending your organization's meetings and fundraisers. I have learned that Lake County has received the message that our issues cannot be solved in silos, but that we must work together if we want to see positive change. It is incredible to see the passion and the determination of our community, and I want to continue to represent you as District 4 Supervisor. A little bit about myself. My family and I moved here almost 20 years ago. I'm a mother of 10 children, with 7 being adopted. 6 of my children have graduated from Clear Lake High School. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology, but I'm also a graduate of Mendocino College with an associate's. I know that the only way we're going to see Lake County thrive will be with programs that focus on our most vulnerable living among us. It is no secret that we have high poverty rates and our community is struggling. This has been my focus the last 3 years, making Lake County a better place to live and work. In my next term, I will be focusing on revenue generation and economic development for future sustainability. We must look at ways we can meet the needs of today without compromising the needs of tomorrow. This also means we cannot continue using current levels of resources, as this will not leave us enough for future budgets. We must grow our economy and further our revenue. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and I know I'm ready to continue the collaborative work to move Lake County forward. Thank you.
Chris?
Okay, hello and good evening. I am presenting a choice to help you make a decision to help make Lake County prosperous. Okay, first and foremost, I'm a father and a family man, and that is how I start my day, and that's how I end my day. For work, for the last 23 years, I have worked for the state of California as a public servant, and in the capacity of working for state parks and for CAL FIRE. My entire career, my career has been in the design, construction, building, and operation and the regulatory purview of water systems and sanitation systems. So additionally, our family business, we contract with small public water systems, and in doing so, we provide safe drinking water for schools, restaurants, and smaller systems like campgrounds and such. Living in Lake County, I have contributed in the same way that other citizens do, by paying their taxes, purchasing homes, spending money locally, and especially we support FFA and 4-H programs and their kids, especially with their projects. Our son and his girlfriend are currently attending college in this town, and here in Lake County we call this place home, and it is our refuge. Okay. Along with half my family also living here. So I have recently retired from CAL FIRE, and I'm proud to say that I've supported firefighter operations throughout Northern California, including here in Lake County. I am a conservative, a conservationist, and I will promote strong family values and abide by our Constitution. We cannot be prosperous by growing government. So businesses need to thrive and be allowed to create more jobs. That is what I'm going to be doing as your supervisor.
Thank you. Our first question. The City of Clear Lake recently raised the issue of a high number of tax defaulted properties in the county and the failure of the tax collector's office to address the thousands of properties that should be put up for auction to recoup monies owed to our financially struggling local government. As supervisor, how would you work to expedite a solution to this issue? Tina.
Well, as chair, last year, the Board of Supervisors, I put together an ad hoc committee to be able to look at these issues to see how we can resolve all the properties that we have that are not paying their taxes. We have brought the tax collector to the board, trying to question what we could do to resolve these issues. After talking with her, we've realized the Board of Supervisors are really the ones that are in charge of making sure we're giving her the resources needed to be able to put these properties on the market. So as supervisor, we have to make sure that we are providing the resources and the services to the different departments to be able to recoup the money that's needed and to be able to sell properties. We are hopefully looking at being able to do 2 property sales in the next coming year, and we have a 5-year plan in place that we're going to be looking at making sure that we are staying ahead of this. But I've said when we had that meeting, the 5-year plan, I think we also need to make sure that we're looking further ahead. It's going to take more than 5 years to resolve the issues of all the tax default properties.
The tax collector, of course, is a separate entity from the board. So I know that we have to work with them directly, and give them the resources they need to actually be able to bring these tax sales to the point where we can actually get them to the auction. So it is a defined plan that we must work with them and try to evolve, make sure the board does give them the resources, and I'm not going to labor that anymore.
Okay. All right. This question goes to Chris first. It's been said that Lake County is not a county that embraces new business. As a supervisor, what do you feel would be your role in attracting business to the county, as well as providing a more streamlined process for local entrepreneurs to start and grow businesses?
First of all, I want to promote people working at home. The garage is a great place for entrepreneurs to build businesses. We need to allow that to happen. I know that permits are issues, but our permits are an issue, but let that happen without any problems at all whatsoever. Bringing new businesses, of course, is going to be make sure that we have the infrastructure that we need to support these new businesses, and I will support and make sure that our systems have the adequate infrastructures that support these new businesses. We cannot force people to come here, but we need to give them the opportunities and the wherewithal to promote it and get these businesses thriving. Also want to promote even existing businesses to actually try to continue to grow and actually thrive so that they can move up and become a much bigger business.
Okay, our next question, question 3. This is
I haven't answered that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. If
got
you want to
ahead of
pass it, I'm good. No.
No,
We'll really get out of here fast. I think the key for bringing business in is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. We need to have the proper infrastructure for businesses to come in. We are a beautiful place to have work from home businesses, but we don't have reliable internet. That is one issue that we are taking up as the Board of Supervisors and the cities, sitting down together as a group, trying to tackle these issues, making sure that we have reliable internet. We have to make sure that we have reliable water systems and roads. I'm also part of the Certified Tourism Ambassadors Program that helps our community understand how to embrace people that want to come in and tourism come into our community, that they're going to want to come back. So there's a lot of work to do. I agree. We have a lot of work to do with bringing businesses in. That, again, falls on the Board of Supervisors, making sure that we are giving staff the adequate things necessary to be able to push permits out and get the work done. So it falls on the Board of Supervisors once again.
Are we
Thank you.
allowed any rebuttal at all?
Pardon me?
Are we allowed any rebuttal at all?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Question number 3, Tina first. How do you see the county relationship with the city of Lakeport, since the residents of the city are also your constituents? Do you see a need to improve the relationship between the county and the city? How would you be a better partner with the city?
That was actually one thing when I first came in to be supervisor. The relationship between the city and the county was very, very strained. I have worked very hard to make sure that I'm attending their meetings. I'm part of what they're trying to improve in their community, and I believe I have built that relationship with the city. There's a strain that we have between us, and I'm sure that question will come up later. But I believe I have already improved the relationship that we have with the city and the county.
Thank you. Chris?
Working with the city council, that is extremely important, being that they represent the constituents, as I do in the lake and in the county level. So it is very imperative that we communicate constantly, and that we actually ensure that we get together and unify our problem-solving techniques so that we are addressing the issues that overlay between the county and the city. Making sure that our vision is correct, and it's actually, we share that the long-term goals for our communities. So that is something that we will have to communicate, attending more meetings, and communicating one-on-one with the city council members, and ensuring that we are in full communication to support that.
Thank you. Question number 4, Chris goes first on this one. The Board of Supervisors oversees many departments, often dealing with employee matters, and they approve a final budget of several millions of dollars. Please describe what experience you have managing people and budgets.
Thank you. Managing people. So I've been acting as my first career choice was with the Sea Ranch Water Company, managing the personnel there, including staff, operators of water systems, sewer systems, hiring and firing of people. So, and throughout my career, actually working with inmates. There was actually many times where I had to actually supervise, manage over top of inmates, or the fact that we have to discipline them to the fact where if they don't abide by what they do, they go back to prison. So these are things I've done directly. Working directly with staff, I actually have promoted people, encouraged them to actually take on higher careers, and work to train them to encourage them to prosper throughout our businesses. Leave it at that.
Tina?
Managing budgets and people. Well, as a Board of Supervisors, that's one main issue that we have here, is making sure that we are using our resources properly. So that has been a focus of mine, and I think we're doing a great job with our budget here in the county. Before becoming a supervisor, I was a board member with the school district and also working on their budget. And when I was there at the time, we were being able to increase our budget and increase wages to the teachers. Working with people. Well, as a mother of 10, I believe I'm really good at organizing people. I've actually had 65 kids through my home, and having all those different personalities come through, it can be very trying at times, but I believe I'm very good at working with people. I've actually believe I've also built the trust with employees here. I have employees that come to me with concerns, and I've built that trust with them so they can come to me with those issues.
Thank you. Thank you. Tina answers this one first. Question number 5. What particular skill, area of knowledge, or expertise do you possess that you believe uniquely qualifies you to represent District 4 on the Board of Supervisors?
Well, I believe I bring a very unique trait. Having a degree in sociology really helps me understand people and how to work with people. As a board, you have 5 people sitting here, and I think you need to have 5 different personalities and peoples with different skill sets. And I believe my skill set is working with the most vulnerable living in our community. And that has been something I believe has been overlooked for many years. I've spent the last 3 years working with our homeless population to try to see how we can solve the issues, because we can no longer just look away or think that those problems aren't there. And I believe that's the skill set that I bring, is being able to work with people and those special, the people that need our attention.
Okay. Chris?
And I too understand that the infrastructure is something that is failing and has been underfunded, and I will bring water system intelligence and knowledge and experience that for water systems, sewer systems, and public works, managing and doing budgets that will get our roads back online, doing programs and infrastructure management that I want to ensure that we prioritize what issues need to get done and get them done. We have many, many issues going on in Lake County. One of them is our full loop system for our sewer system that I would like to see in the future, that we actually include sewer systems that go around the entire lake and be able to pump that sewage up to the geothermal plants and create energy from it. To do that, we must make sure we do that through the appropriate contracts. I want to make sure that when we get the contracts in front of us, that we actually can, I can bring to the board where we can actually get the best plan possible.
Thank you. Question number 6, and this goes to Chris first. What sort of volunteer work are you involved with in the community? How does or would your involvement assist you in the role of county supervisor?
I've just recently retired from CAL FIRE in July of this year, so my profession has not allowed me to get into the community and volunteer as much as I'd like to. We have gotten into programs of volunteering. Actually, the first thing we're doing is we're actually getting out and doing the cleanup on the highways, but that is about the only thing I've been able to do since I've retired. I do plan on getting down and helping everybody on the Main Street situation and improving our downtown. Volunteering is always been something I've always done. I'm currently trying to get on as a chaperone with the local FFA chapter up in Upper Lake. They need sometimes they need male chaperones that can actually take off, and I have the time to do that. I've volunteered for that for the last 6 years with kids in my community to go on trips, take them to the state leadership conferences and to the international part.
Thank you. Tina?
Well, for me, I'm a big believer in leading by example, and I don't think a minute's going to be enough time to go over all the volunteer work that I do in my community. I volunteer weekly at the Warming Center, at least 80 plus hours each year. My family and I provide 24 lunch bags for the Warming Center each week when they're open. They're only open 3 months out of the year that we get to help our friends that find themselves homeless. I'm also a CASA worker, which is a court-appointed special advocate. So I go into the courts and advocate for youth that are in the foster care system. I'm a seroptimist. I am the president, and I organize their largest fundraiser. I also chair the Live Your Dream Award, which seeks out women that are in need, that have overcome great obstacles and are now trying to improve their life. I sponsor a T-ball team locally here in the community to help pay for T-shirts, hat, and field maintenance. Every morning from 6:30 to 7:30 to 8:15, you can find me out being the crossing guard at Lakeport Elementary School. And there's more, but I'm done.
All right, our next question goes to Tina first. What should be the number one priority of the Board of Supervisors and why?
The number one priority right now for the Board of Supervisors is making sure that we are giving our employees the wages that they deserve. We did a class and comp study. It's out now finalized. I'm hoping to be having letters go to the unions within the next month to be able to raise the wages in our community. We struggle with a 25% vacancy rate, and that's because we are not paying our workers what they deserve, and they move on to our neighboring counties. So I'm really hoping that this study and the wages, raising them, we'll be able to stabilize our workforce, and we'll be able to push out product faster. Right now, we're in training mode. We're constantly training for them just to move on to our neighboring counties, and I believe it'll actually be a cost-saving benefit to us if we're not constantly training employees, and we'll have longevity and be able to service the community in a better fashion.
Thank you. Chris?
Thank you. Number one priority for the board, and I think we need to manage our economy. We need to get our businesses thriving so that we can have more revenue to pay for the infrastructure and all of the programs that we do need. Without the revenue from bringing in businesses into this community, we just won't have the funds for pay raises. So otherwise we're going to have strict cuts. One of the big things as I'm looking at is comparing our actual economy, the numbers coming in from our two industries is agriculture and tourism. So together those numbers are about $200 to $300 million for those two industries to bring that money in. We have our annual budget for this year is $258 million. So we need to look like we're having, I know there's more revenues to be brought into the whole picture of this, but we need to make sure our economy is strong. Without that, we cannot get out of poverty. I think poverty is one of the big issues of this county, and it brings a big cloud over us.
Thank you. This one will be Chris first. If many people are not aware that Riviera Heights is in District 4, how do you plan to involve those residents in the decision-making process in District 4?
Thank you. I am in the process of walking that precinct, which is Soda Bay precinct, and we are getting out and talking to people. I've made contact with many friends in that area, and so we will be making contacts with them. I do not have any plans of any public appearances or a town hall in that area, but if I can arrange that, actually it would be a good way to make sure that I can get my message out and promote that. So we'll look into that if they feel like make the contact. And I will continue to reach out to them through phone calls, and my best way I love to get out is knock on doors and talk to each person individually.
Thank you. I misspoke, and I apologize to the audience and to Tina, because I don't believe I let you answer unless I'm...
No, you're good.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I get nervous about this.
No, you're good, you're good.
It's all those eyes over there I'm trying to ignore. Okay. So now you need to answer that.
I need to answer that question. Actually, I think right now, I've never seen it before. I think there's a lot of confusion in our community about who we're voting for who. There are people that are running for District 4 that are all the way in District 5, that are people running for District 5 that I've seen in District 4 and all the way down in District 1. So I think there is a lot of confusion. So it's going to take knocking on doors, sending out mailers, making people aware of who they're actually voting for, because there is a lot of confusion out there.
All right, thank you. Question number 9. To Tina. What is your vision for sustainable economic development for Lake County using specific examples and possibly reference documents?
Well, the last 3 years, we have been working with both cities, the city of Clear Lake and the city of Lakeport, to work on economic development. A couple of things that we're looking at is making sure that we have reliable internet. And the Chamber of Commerce has been absolutely amazing. They've stepped in to also help us with that. And I think that is one of the keys here that I'm finding, that we're finally all starting to realize that we cannot rely on just government to solve all our issues. It's going to take everybody sitting at the table together. Another piece that we're looking at is our airport. We need to develop our airport to be able to bring in larger airplanes. That's another issue that the Chamber of Commerce has come in, stepped in, and helped us with the product of having a pilot's lounge. It's absolutely kind of disgraceful to have a pilot show up at our airport and they ask where the restrooms are and we pointed the blue toilets. So from now on, I'm sure pretty soon we'll be able to have a nice pilot's lounge for them.
Chris?
Sorry, would you please repeat the question?
I certainly will. What is your vision for sustainable economic development for Lake County using specific examples and possibly reference documents?
Thank you. First of all, I would just like to make sure we make it clear that the internet is not something that we would normally do from a county perspective. We have actual private industry that actually takes care of that, and I think it's something that we need to have a limit to where we bring with government for industry development. So we need to make sure that we promote businesses that are here already, as well as bring businesses into our system. So, for example, I was just trying to talk with, I know Kmart has actually been vacant for now 2 months. So we need to actually look at our existing businesses. There's businesses that are downtown that have not been approached yet to actually see if, their business has been in here for a long time, that we can actually try to consolidate and maybe bring them up or get them to the level where they move up to a bigger. We don't need to have big brand name businesses here all the time. We would love to have that. They do bring in great retail sales and we have a great revenue from that.
Okay, thank you. Chris, question number 10. The homeless crisis is well documented across the country as well as in our county. What would your plan be to address this issue as a county supervisor?
Thank you. So, yes, it is a national crisis, I do believe. It's definitely in our state level. I have to say that elections have consequences, okay? For the last 20 years, we've been a one-party system, and that system has not promoted and promoted economic growth to this point, and instead, they keep going back and they actually are promoting this homelessness issues, the drug issues, the mental health issues. These issues are compounding, and we need to come with real solutions to make sure that we get into a point of a status of prosperity instead of bringing all this despair from the programs that are not being promoted. They're being almost encouraged. And the fact is that we do not have a two-party system that can bring opposing views and try to get systems straightened out so we can prosper again.
Thank you. Tina?
Well, this morning I spent the morning from 8:30 to almost noon with the pit count, which is a point-in-time count to accurately count how many homeless we actually have living in our community. So the first step is making sure that we're counting them correctly. So I'm hoping that we've done a good job today and that we'll have a proper count. As chair of Hope Rising, we're in the process of opening up a homeless center in Clear Lake. We actually have the building already. I'm hoping it'll be open by June. It'll be a 20-bed facility that will be wraparound services to help bring our homeless off the streets and into permanent housing. As you know, you can't just take somebody off the streets and put them into housing and think that's going to work. We have to make sure we're giving them the services they need to be successful. And that has been one of my priorities as a county supervisor, is making sure that we're providing services, because I believe at some point it's going to come down to us that if we're not doing something, we're going to be considered in fault.
Okay. I'm going to throw you a curve, which I've tried to do twice tonight.
That's fine.
I'd like you each, when we're all through with the questions, I'd like you each to think of a question you want to ask the other person, okay? And we'll give you 2 minutes to answer the question by the other candidate. Okay, next question. This goes to Tina. What is your vision for updating our area plans? Why is that so important, and why do you believe they are so out of date?
Well, they are out of date. Many of them are 20-plus years old. I wish we could go and tackle them all at one time. We just don't have the staffing to do that. So as a Board of Supervisors, we have decided we're going to do one at a time. This is going to be a long process, but I think it's going to be good to be able to develop what businesses we want in our areas. I think we have to make sure that we're not just hodgepodging things together. We have to have a plan. That was one thing that I was surprised about coming into the Board of Supervisors, is they did not have a long-term plan of how they wanted to move Lake County forward. And that was one thing that we did put together, is have Vision 2028, is to make sure that all staff, Board of Supervisors, were on the same page, going the same direction. And that's the same thing with the area plans. We have to have a plan, or you don't know where you're going to end up at.
Okay. Chris?
Please repeat it.
Yes. What is your vision for updating our area plans? Why is that so important, and why do you believe they are so out of date?
It's very important to bring up these area plans, because our industry is changing, especially in the terms of the new cannabis regulations and cannabis ordinances. They're not even mentioned in these things, so they're definitely not mentioned in the general plan. So the reason that they're so out of date is the fact that no time to get them done. It is definitely, some of them are 25 years old, and I agree that we need to actually take them on. We can't wait to do 1 or 2 a year. We need to really bring them in and see if we can consolidate, see if there's a way to, because of how the cannabis industry has changed a lot of area plans and how land is being used. We need to make sure our citizens understand that in their areas just how the cannabis program is being used. So I think that would be our way to present to them that we have a clear plan on how we're moving forward. These area plans are small, and thank you.
Okay.
I already answered the question.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just thinking.
Unless you want to give me another minute. No.
You stop laughing. All right. The next question, and this goes to Chris first. What is the status of plans to relocate the county courthouse?
I have not researched that, and I would actually defer that. I do not have the correct answer for that.
Thank you. Tina?
Well, a couple months ago, the state of California put us at the top. We are number one for needing a new courthouse. That doesn't mean we're going to stay at number one, but I'm really hoping that they give us the funding to be able to put the new courthouse in. We have put some property together to go back. The Superior Court purchased property in Lakeport and then realized the property was unbuildable. So then they came to the county wanting to know if we would give them property to build the courthouse. So we have property out on Bevins that we're hoping that the new courthouse would be put in. I feel, as a supervisor of Lakeport, it's very, very important that the courthouse stay here to generate business here in our community. It would be horrible if the businesses here in Lakeport lost that courthouse. So I'm really excited, and hopefully, we'll watch the news and we stay at number one for funding.
Thank you. This next question, and I apologize to the person who wrote it, but this actually pertains only to the city of Lakeport. I will read the question, but the property that's being discussed is within the city limits of Lakeport, so I don't see where the supervisors would have any jurisdiction, but I will read the question. Are there any plans regarding the derelict shopping center where Lakeport Boulevard meets Highway 29?
Am I first?
Yes, you're
Okay.
first on this.
I moved here 20 years ago, and that building didn't have a roof on it then. I am shocked that the city has allowed that to continue. I believe that they are in the process of trying to figure out how they can get that property owner to either clean that up and bring business in. It was very devastating when we lost the bowling alley. We didn't just lose a business in our community, we lost a place that our children went. My son had his Supergrad event there, and it was an absolutely amazing event. Something needs to be done, but as a supervisor, we can support the city, but we can't tell them what to do.
Thank you. Chris?
Any type of a derelict structure of any sort, and there are many, that really need to identify those. And of course, if they're in the city limits, that is their jurisdiction. But I think that we should support them as a supervisor. And there's buildings, even in the county, we just need to address those issues and improve them to the point where we can actually get businesses back into them, or mediate it so that we can actually, if there's a blight in the community, clean it up and try to get it removed so it looks much better.
Thank you. This next question, and this would go to Chris first, deals with SB 54. SB 54 makes it possible for a city or county to declare themselves exempt from being a sanctuary for illegal immigrants. Could Lake County be SB 54 exempt? Perhaps that should have been stated, could Lake County be declared SB 54 exempt?
Well, I definitely disagree with the whole aspect of SB 54. I think it's the anti-ICE, and it actually allows immigrants to come to this country with issues, and once they commit a crime, they're not allowed to, our police force, our sheriff department, our law enforcement agencies are not allowed to report those. They're not allowed to use any resources, either in the county or the state, to remove them or actually turn them over to the authorities. That I believe that is a troublesome issue for our law enforcement, and we need to actually give them the tools and release this so that they can actually enforce the issues, and actually, for the people that are here, make sure that for the immigrants that are not here, make sure that we get a path of citizenship to them, and so that there's not struggling families because of this.
Thank you. Tina?
This was a concern of mine when I first came on the board, and I brought it to the Board of Supervisors to have the discussion of, what do we want to do? Our sheriff, we're very, very thankful to have the sheriff that we have. he has decided that his job is not to enforce federal law, but to make sure that he's protecting the citizens here. I've heard him on many times reach out to all of our citizens and let them know he's here to make sure that they are safe. I am worried that we do have undocumented citizens living in our community, and they're scared to go to our law enforcement for assistance, so they continue to be victimized. I'm also concerned that we have children that are not attending school. There's a very high percentage that are not attending school because their parents may not be citizens. So now we're going to have a whole group of youth that are not being educated. And a lot of them, they go to school to have food. So we're not feeding our youth. It's a much bigger problem, but I am satisfied with what the sheriff has put into place.
Next question. And this actually deals with the homeless, but it's a different question than the first one we had. So Tina, you're first. Do you have a plan to prevent homeless encampments like the ones in Santa Rosa and Ukiah that have presented so many issues and problems for the residents?
Prevention is having services. So my plan is to make sure we have services so they don't have to have encampments. I was actually out today looking for our friends that find themselves homeless to be able to bring more funding into our community. So the key is making sure we are providing the services so we don't find that.
Okay. Chris.
And I apologize, please repeat the question.
Do you have a plan to prevent homeless encampments like the ones in Santa Rosa and Ukiah that have presented so many issues and problems for the residents?
The plan, of course, is to ensure that our law enforcement and our services in the county, we're not. A lot of the homeless people are just going right out onto private property, and so private property people, if they do start encroaching on private property, they need to be removed. And but the plan is, obviously there are services in place, homeless shelters, warming centers that these homeless people can actually go out to, and that's where they need to go. They should not be in these homeless encampments where they're actually contaminating the rivers, the creeks, and leaving much trash for other people to clean up and pick up. So the plan is to give them the services. We have the homeless shelters, we have churches, we have actually organizations that are coming together and trying to make sure that we have places for the homeless to go. So we need to keep promoting that. That is a plan, and I encourage that.
Thank you. Tina?
I already answered it.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm on to the next question.
But I'll take another minute.
I got ahead of myself. Okay, this is for Chris.
I'm glad I'm not the nervous one here. It makes me feel better.
You can do this next time. District 1 is Wednesday night. Okay. With, I think this word was supposed to be torrential attacks on the Second Amendment taking place in Virginia and constantly relentless attacks on it from the California legislature for the last 35 years, would you be willing to introduce, pass, and implement a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution?
I'm first?
Yeah.
To me, right?
Yes.
Not immediately. This is our Constitution is first and foremost, and it is a Second Amendment. This is a situation that is going on in Virginia that the citizens are under attack, and they feel under attack from the new governor that is there, that is going after their rights. These are civil rights. These are actually constitutional rights that they are going after. And I support the citizens, and I will always support the citizens, especially when it's so dear to the Constitution. The fact that it's an issue, the Second Amendment, First Amendment, Fifth Amendment, no matter what it is, we are sworn as supervisors to uphold the Constitution, not only the state Constitution, but the United States Constitution. And that happens to be the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment. And if the citizens do need to have resolutions brought forward or policies brought forward, that is what we're here for. We can actually try to resolve and protect our citizens' rights.
Thank you. Tina?
Simply, I do not believe this is a policy that needs to be brought up at a county level.
Okay. All right. We have one more question and then the question of one to the other. So the last question is, how have you supported the business district?
Well, I always make sure that I'm supporting local businesses. When they have their grand openings, I'm out there making sure that I'm supporting. I'm always reposting their things that they're posting on Facebook to boost their business. The Certified Tourism Ambassadors have just brought out this new program, which I just absolutely love, is these cards to let the businesses know they're doing a great job. And I think supporting our chamber, supporting the Tourism Improvement District, that will support our businesses, but I spend a lot of money in the community.
Thank you. Chris?
Supporting our businesses the same way. We actually promote them, we go there, we patronize them, and we promote them and tell our friends and family that this is where we need to go to support the businesses. Getting out to promoting businesses, obviously it can be done through sharing things on Facebook and promoting them on our websites, et cetera, just to get the word out. The word of mouth is very good as far as getting businesses to thrive and find out which ones are the better ones to attend to and spend your money on.
Right. Thank you. Now, Chris, you go first in presenting a question to Tina, and you'll have 2 minutes to do this.
2 minutes to
Pose a question to
Okay.
Tina. If you don't
2 minutes
have
to pose the question, or 2 minutes for me to answer the question?
Either way.
It could be a lot of questions. Well,
I like to be easy.
Okay.
at least during the last year, Supervisor Scott, there has been issues on the consent agenda that I've objected to, and the fact that the county is spending money without doing competitive bidding, and the whole fact of the matter is they're using an exemption that's not in public interest. Whenever we spend public money and it's declared not in public interest, I think that is a really serious issue that needs to be brought forward. And instead of that process, we need to find better ways to make sure our citizens are getting the money that they should be, or getting the value of a service or a contract that they should be. So the specific question is, why are we spending money that's not in public interest?
I don't believe we are spending unneeded money for public interest. We do have items that come to the board, and it does say, because of public interest, we did not go out for bid. A lot of these have to do with behavioral health issues or issues that we only have one vendor to go to. So there's no need to go through the process to be able to spend the money when we know we've done this previously, and we need the services, and we know that there's only one vendor to provide it.
Thank you. Tina?
What do you think about the South Main Street annexation? I'm surprised that question did not come up tonight.
Me too.
Thank you. Good question. What do I think of it?
What do you?
Okay.
What are your thoughts on?
My thoughts on that is the fact that the amount of money in question is almost $500,000 in revenue that the county would lose and the city would gain. So that is the kind of the tug of war of the revenue. I've been down knocking on doors, talking to the businesses and the residents of that area. Kind of the consensus is that they just don't want it. The majority, I would say, it's something that we don't have to do. I think as a county supervisor, I think we will have the ability to, or the option to give them something that if they do not do the annexation, we have the ability to bring water from Findlay, actually from the, and to continue the actual loop of water from the Kelseyville district through Findlay and try to get that connected over to provide water That seems to be the issue down there. There's several issues. Water being one of them. I know that there's one business down there that is the movie theater. They seem to be having an issue with their water. They spend a lot of money on that. I've talked to the other businesses, and their water situation is just fine. I think there's just one person that I've talked to that has the water issues. And I know that several of the issues have been able to meet the fire protection rules that were a requirement, and also the fact that as far as the annexation, the best part about it is I know LAFCO is working with it. We're working with the city, we're working with the county, and right now we're coming back to some more proposals, and the fact that in the end, I believe there's 18 registered voters down there, and they'll be able to vote on it.
Thank you. All right. So now you each have 2 minutes for a closing statement. And Tina, you would go first.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this forum together, and for everybody that came out tonight, and for those who have submitted questions. I have been your supervisor for 3 years, but I feel so much has already been accomplished together. We're working to solve the vacancy rate with the county employees, and we have already stopped our officers from leaving for our neighboring counties with the agreement of an 80-20 split with health insurance costs. We've implemented the hazard abatements ordinance that will help Lake County become a fire-safe county. A culvert with a valve was installed to help with the floodwaters in the Scotts Valley area, and the homeowners out there got together to repair the private levees to improve the situation further. So again, this is showing working together. Government's not going to solve all their issues, but we need to be working together. To reiterate, in my next term, I will be focusing on revenue generation and economic development for future sustainability. There are so many exciting programs and projects that are coming down the pike. The reopening of Canocti will be significant for Lake County. Hope Center will be one of the keys to help those who just need a little boost up to find permanent housing. And Lake County is also being put back on the map for a place for tourism. It's really an exciting time to be a supervisor. I hope I have earned your trust and with my hard work this past term, and that I'm a big believer that actions speak louder than words. With this, I believe I have shown with my actions that I will continue to work hard for Lake County and the people who call this place home. I not only work as a full-time supervisor, but make the time to volunteer weekly in our community and support many nonprofits. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out. My cell phone number is 849-4414. And you can also find more information about my campaign at Tina Scott District 4, that's the number 4.com. Please vote Tina Scott on March 3rd, 2020. Thank you.
Chris.
Prosperity in our communities will take hard work, determination, and it cannot be done by any one person. However, every individual has the right to decide if they are prosperous or not. But poverty needs to go, and to do that, we need to get more jobs. People need to be safe in their communities from crime and natural disasters. I will support and defend, Sheriff Martin and his staff, and to ensure he has the tools and the tools necessary to fight the crime and keep citizens, protected. Additionally, fire prevention is absolutely essential and will get my fullest attention. I choose to run for supervisor. I value our ideals and traditions. I choose Lake County. I choose because Lake County is an agricultural community and needs better representation at the county and state level. I choose because public safety and fire protection funding are too often held hostage until more taxes can be paid. I choose because water is a constant issue in Lake County, and I'm a water professional with the skills and experience to get infrastructure projects done and done right. I choose to run for supervisor because I see great potential in Lake County, and together we can make a difference and prosper. I'm Chris Almind, and I want to be your supervisor and serve and represent you. Thank you.
At this point, I want to thank our candidates for attending this evening and sharing their thoughts and their answers with you. I'd also like to thank the County of Lake for allowing us to host the candidate forum here this evening. Sam in the back, Sam Houston, for videotaping and setting up our sound system, and for our volunteers from the Chamber, President Joe Castile, wife Jackie Castile, and Lisa Wilson, Director. So at this time, I'd like to thank our candidates for their time. And thank you all for giving us the questions that you did send forward. I hope we answered them appropriately.